Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and we are live, just like we are every Tuesday and Thursday here on Popcorn Planet. Thanks to so many amazing people in the chat. Wow, look, guys, I was ready to celebrate today. I even got my frozen fireworks ready for you. I had my frozen fireworks cocktail, my frozen Cheers mug, but it looks like that's not going to be enough booze for me tonight. I got to add some more aviation gin. Oh, guys, just when we thought it was over, I'm worried it's not. And guys, what's this mean? So we were celebrating because we got all these press stories, all these headlines out there that were saying, Jamie has stepped down. Jamie has stepped down. I was so excited because it looked like he actually stepped down. But it turns out there's provisions to that. He wants more things before he actually steps down. So I'm so happy because we have our legal expert. So happy to have him back on the show. Christopher Melcher is here. Christopher, how are you doing?
Great, Andy. It's been a crazy day. I mean, so much happened just out of the blue. I mean, like many times in Britney's case. But we got the document. We can go through it. We've analyzed it. I've been on ABC Prime, ITV, Fox News, and USA Today, all about it.
And now he's here on the most important network yet. No, I'm so happy. Christopher's out there doing the real thing. We should all thank him for being here. What a pro. I've been so impressed with his coverage, his civil, calm demeanor. He really knows how to go through all this correctly without us losing our, getting too emotional. That's important, guys. And so I want to make sure also I just plug you right away. Let's make sure we don't miss this plug right away. If you guys aren't already subscribed to Christopher Melcher's channel, The Law Live, mods, please send that out there. In fact, here it is, because we got a lot of people watching. There's Christopher's channel. Go subscribe to him, too. Show him some love because he's out there doing a lot of stuff, getting the word out on this and other cases, and I'm so excited to be working with him. Hope to have you on here more. We've been having a lot of fun. But, so Christopher, all right, so here's this. Actually, let me put this back. This was the headline today. This is the headline that's gone all over the media. Jamie Spears steps down. Britney, I was like, yes, she's won. A lot of people are like, yay, she's free. First of all, she's not free. She's not free. Even if he steps down, she's still in a conservatorship. We still got a lot more to figure out who's guilty, et cetera, et cetera. But the reality now, he didn't really step down, did he? We're going to go through this document more specifically, but the media is sort of jumping in and saying, yep, he's out, he's out, he's out. But the reality is you were sort of telling me as the legal document was finally coming out there, because we were just getting little chunks and headlines. As you got the actual legal documents, Christopher, the reality is this is a bit more complicated still, correct? There are conditions to his exit currently. Is that correct?
That's right. When it came out this afternoon, we all thought Jamie resigns, he's out. But much like Jamie has done with every
video,
move in the case.
If I keep turning your video off, it just means I don't know why we have a bug on your. Just start and stop it when I do that, so we can see you properly. As he restarts his video, here he comes.
Yeah, it says it cannot start because the host has stopped it. You want me to log back on? Or
wait, there we go. Try now.
Okay.
There he is. There's that. All right.
Okay.
Sorry again. So go ahead.
So the headline that we saw was Jamie resigns, and it's like, wow. But much like Jamie has done with everything, there's strings attached to it. So we're going to go through what those strings are. So this is really a kind of noisy withdrawal, and also he's trying to negotiate terms of surrender. So there's nothing straight about what he's doing here at all. So it's not over. I was hoping like, hey, we don't even need September 29th, the next court hearing anymore, because this is done and we can just get the new conservator in place, start investigating what's been going on for the last 13 years, get that next step of terminating the conservatorship altogether. But no, there's going to be a hearing, I think, still on September 29th because Jamie's not going to leave. He wants money when it comes down to it.
Well, I'm getting extra booze. Just sorry, guys. I'm going to get a little extra. Oh, my God, that's too much. That's a lot of gin. Serious proof. Might be drunk by the end of this whole stream. Christopher won't be here for that part. But I need to drink a little bit because, man, this is frustrating me. Just when we thought we had a win, we still got some hiccups to jump through. Some hoops that Mr. Spears, big old Jamie, can't just let us have the win. Of course that. Now, not only that, I'm told, as I've been looking through, because it's a lot, it's not a ton, we'll be able to get through it all. But the other big thing, as we're teasing this for you guys, as people are getting in the building, the other big thing about this document, right, is he throws Lynne like crazily under the bus. He starts going very aggressive in a lot of ways that aren't going to help Britney really or anybody in the end of the day, right? This is almost like it's sloppy in that way too, right?
Yeah, I kind of think he needs a refund from his lawyers here. I don't know, like, who, if it's a lawyer really wrote this thing or if it was his crisis manager that wrote it, because it's a hot mess. It's a terrible legal document. And really all he needed to say is, hey, I'm willing to step aside. And he actually would have looked good had he done that. But he goes on for like 12 pages bashing Lynne Spears because she attacked him in one of the earlier documents. And it's really irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the issues in the case. But when you are going against somebody in a court case, you want them talking, because the more they talk, the more they're on record, and then you can test those allegations later on. So this is beautiful that Rosengart's got him talking. We're going to go through all these things that he's saying. And there are some problems. He makes fatal admissions. He basically shoots himself in the foot when he's trying to shoot Lynne.
Oh, well, I do enjoy watching him shoot himself in the foot, but at the cost of Britney, I don't. All right, well, guys, we're going to get through this document. We have it right here. Here's the full document, which we will be just reading through with all of you, with Christopher's analysis, legal analysis, and that way we're not just completely guessing here. Before I get there, though, I do want to thank everybody who's tuning in. I think we already had a couple supporters come in. That's how the show works. If you pin comment, you can use the stream elements or super chats. It helps the channel support our coverage, but also get you on the show. So thanks, you guys, for who've been doing that. And first up was Jade Lady 173 Mary. Jamie wants the attorney fees in 12th accounting paid by Britney. Correct. We'll get there, and I want to get Christopher's analysis on is that likely? Will they end up paying to get him out of here? We'll get to all of that. Lots to cover. Paul, also got to thank you for the super chat. Andy, your climb back to redemption is inspiring. So happy that your channel is thriving. You deserve it. Cheers to the best channel on YouTube. Oh, that's really nice of you, Paul. Thanks so much. Hard work, man. I want to say, because I'm a big fan of Sloan, the YouTube channel, and I was watching him. He was doing a stream earlier, and I know he wasn't talking bad at all. He just doesn't know me. But I know he sort of had some hesitation. He's like, yeah, I saw Andy. He's only been reporting on this for the past couple weeks. And to be fair, that's true. I mean, I've been reporting on it since the tapes. But if you actually go back, I was doing free Britney stories before then. I actually did one early this year when I sort of found out about it. I just didn't know, and I think that's the reality of so many people didn't know. And as I started doing the coverage, like, it started affecting me. I didn't just do it because you guys were watching. It was because of views. No, it really affected me when I heard the tapes as a dad and digging down the wormhole and seeing all the stuff that they've sort of forced her through and the custody they've taken away. That's really where I got really connected to this. And then obviously, as you guys were so engrossed, I was happy to keep reporting it, because typically I do a story like this sometimes and my audience doesn't connect. Christopher, I've done this. I've had I'll do a story about The Bachelor. I'll do a story about stuff that people wouldn't predict I'm into. And I do those stories and my audience doesn't watch it. And I realize, well, I can't sadly keep going that much because it'll just tank my channel. But in this one, the fans were into it. So I was so happy to be able to run with it. I'm so grateful to all the supporters and fans and my original audience who've learned all about Britney. I think it's beautiful what we're doing here. So grateful to all of you. Just wanted to sort of put that out there, as I know there's some new people wondering, what's Andy's intentions? I mean, obviously anybody on YouTube has intentions to do well, Christopher. That's the first thing that's most important. But I think how well are they reporting? How honest are they being about the reporting? That's really what you want to look for, making sure, look, a lot of people jump from topic to topic, but are they doing it well? Are they doing it fairly? Are they doing it honestly? Are they doing it genuinely? I think are the things we want to look forward to. And so I did want to call it Sloan because he was calling me earlier. I'm a fan of his. I think he does some really good work. Emily Baker, also, I love her too, and she might be stopping in tonight. So we got a lot of fun guests and surprises potentially. All right, but let's not delay this any further. Let's get to this document, shall we, Christopher? I want to go through. Thank you, Matt. Also, real quick, you and Sloan would be spiffy on Free Britney anytime he wants to. No pressure. Leave him alone. Don't pressure him. I know he's like, I got anxiety. Totally get it. I'm a fan. Want to make sure he knows that and support what he's doing. As long as all of us are genuinely doing the right reporting on this, I think that's key. The more the merrier, right? All right, so Christopher, let's get through this, shall we? So let's start this up now that we're 9 o'clock. Perfect, right on time. We did a little bit of pre-show. Now we're getting into the meat of this story. So this comes in. This was filed by Jamie. This is his. Why? First, before we even get to it, why file this? Like, what's the reasoning behind sort of, do you think he decided to change his way and file this pretty early still?
It is. He to oppose this motion that's set for September 29th, he would have had to filed his papers about 2 weeks before. It's 9 court days before. So we'd be looking like mid-September is when his paperwork was due. So he got his homework in early, and there's a reason why he's doing that. Most of it is because of public image. We know that he spent over $500,000 on a crisis manager and publicist to try and rehabilitate himself. So this isn't done out of kindness or just to be efficient. He's doing this tactically because he's under threat. He knows that he's going to get removed, or he thinks he's going to get removed, and he's trying to protect himself. So he thinks that if he comes in here with this resignation, that at least apparent resignation on its face, that people would maybe ease off of him, and that he can set it up for his ultimate goal, which is to get all these attorney's fees and other compensation that he's seeking for himself approved. So we're not fooled by that, but that's exactly what he's trying to do.
Right. So this is a little bit of the writings on the wall for him. His lawyers and such must be sort of telling him this isn't looking good. Let's try to use this now as we can to see what we can get. Is that a fair summary?
Well, yeah. So he knows that he's in the crosshairs, and there's been some suspicion here about whether he would negotiate terms of surrender. It's totally inappropriate, though, by the way, because he's in a fiduciary capacity. So that's the highest duty that we could have under the law as a fiduciary, as a conservator. So he can't do any transactions that interest himself or that are against Britney. But that's exactly what he's trying to do in this document. And even behind the scenes, he may be trying to get a release of all claims from Britney to say, hey, I'll step aside if you release me. And that's not a far-fetched thing, because it's exactly what happened with Andrew Wallet. And I may do a separate video on this later, but the Andrew Wallet, when he was the conservator, he stepped aside and he got a full get out of jail free card when he left. He got a release of all claims, even unknown claims, and his bond, which was like $48 million bond, like an insurance policy on him, exonerated. And Sam Ingham, of course, approved it. And the court, of course, approved it, which was completely irresponsible. And I got to think Jamie's trying to negotiate the same deal for himself. This time, though, we have a real attorney who's going to look at this and say, no way. And but that was my suspicion, that he would be trying to do something. Here, it's not a huge ask. He just wants the $1.2 million and other stuff approved. But I think behind the scenes, he may be asking for something greater.
All right, so let's start this document. And thank you really quick, just so I make sure as we get through this, I'll take breaks at point. If you guys have questions for Christopher or me, or just things you need to get off your chest, you can send them over. And really quick, we got one from Mary. Should Jay be pulling out personal medical addiction, mental be publicly published in this? Should Jamie be putting out? Oh, should he be putting out personal medical addiction and mental stuff? No, he shouldn't, right, Christopher? That goes sort of against what his role currently is, right? All of that is sort of
that's
bad
right.
news.
If he has receipt of any of that information, he needs to keep it private. And this is the reason, one of the many reasons why he needs to be removed. He's a combatant now. He's fighting actively with pretty much everyone. No one wants him in this role. And now he's disclosing all this information. He needs to go like yesterday. So he's not doing himself any favors with his document. That's why I'm saying it's like the attorneys who wrote this for him, it's disgraceful because they ain't helping him.
Well, and it's also weird because he just filed back saying, I'm not going anywhere, but I guess I will. Then the judge, which I'm looking at the judge a little harsher, because the judge is like, meh, not doing anything. But then Jamie himself's like, all right, you know what? I changed my mind. Yeah, I'm going to step. It's all so weird, isn't it? Why doesn't this make the judge look bad in a way too? If Jamie's already saying, you know what, fine, I'll step down.
Yeah, I really don't get it. I don't understand. I'm trying to give the judge a benefit of the doubt. I know that courts are overworked. I know she has a lot of cases. I know everybody's case. If you had a case in Judge Penny's courtroom, you would say, this is the most important case in the world and you don't want it being continued. I get that. But Britney's case has got to be the most important case in terms of the magnitude of it, how long it's going on, the notoriety. I mean, come on, give Britney some help here. And we just don't see any action. So I'm kind of thinking that this court is inattentive or indecisive. There's something wrong. There's something broken going on, because if I were the judge on this thing, I would have taken action a lot sooner. And that's what the court needs to do. It needs to actively manage its cases. The only reason why Britney's under a conservatorship is because the court ordered it, and the court can get rid of it. It just needs to actually do something, and we just see inaction.
All right, so getting through this, help me, please take over when need be, because you've read this deeper. It's not super long, but should we? The introduction is there? Should I be reading this section, or can you give us a summaries of this?
I mean, I would say really the first couple pages of this thing are all about how Jamie's saying, I'm a great dad. I love my daughter. I'll always be her father. And basically it's damage control that he's trying to do.
So let's read a little bit of his damage control. Britney Jean was in crisis, desperately in need of help. Not only was she suffering mentally and emotionally, she was also being manipulated by predators and in financial distress. He constantly is pointing at everybody and never thinking that maybe some of the things he was doing could be those things as well. Mr. Spears came to his daughter's rescue to protect her, and this court made the determination that the protection provided by a conservatorship was necessary. We'll figure that out if that was legit, and in Miss Spears' best interest. The court also determined that it was in Miss Spears' best interest for Mr. Spears to be his daughter's conservator. From the beginning of the course, Mr. Spears has always been her father. That parent-child relationship has always affected the conservatorship. Sometimes it has been difficult, as are all parent-child relationships are at one time or another. But Mr. Spears has always done what he believes was in his daughter's best interest. Bullshit. And Mr. Spears was the best choice to serve as his daughter's conservator. No one knew Miss Spears better, and no one loved her as much as a parent could. Okay, but we're going to batch the other parent in a little bit. Don't worry, we'll get there. So apparently only Jamie was the good parent, right, Christopher?
Well, so this is the thing. Most people are under conservatorship don't have money to pay for anything, and it would be a parent or brother, sister, somebody like that would be coming on and doing that really for no compensation. They do it out of love. And so here, if he loves her so much, why is he taking all this money?
Right. Good question. All right, so continuing this, conservators provided Mrs. Spears with a structure to help her navigate the daily challenges of personal life, family matters, medical issues, career. By the nature of structure, includes safeguards to protect the conservatee from self-harm or harm from others. It is not surprising that Mrs. Spears has often felt constrained or subject to excessive supervision, but at least for the greater part of the past 13 years, the conservatorship has worked as intended, and every step along the way, Mr. Spears has offered his daughter love, support, and encouragement, both as a conservator and as a father. It's just always a bad sign to me when the dad has to sort of prove it in legal documents that he's being a good dad versus his own child.
Obviously not being it's not written by him. I mean, it's a lawyer speaking for him, or the crisis person speaking for him, because I'm sure he doesn't talk this way. And one of the earlier documents,
I do believe he thinks this whole part about I've only been in my best interest. That's always what he says. Like, I do feel like there was something where he's telling his lawyer, make sure you say I was a good dad. I was always here for her best interest. There could be a little bit of that, no?
Well, but it was maybe a month or so ago he filed a document saying he hasn't spoken with her in a long time. So I don't know how he's offering all this love and support when he doesn't even speak with her.
Very, very good point. For example, Mr. Spears expressed desire to engage in her career, to record or to perform, including in a World War tour. Mr. Spears and the team of professionals, blah, 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 provided structure. So he really is, and when he's just trying to justify everything he's done. When Miss Spears did not want to engage or could not do so, Mr. Spears and the professional team supported her wishes and enabled her withdrawal. Bullshit. As opportunities arose, Miss Spears first ensured that they were presented and discussed with Miss Spears, and that she understood these obligations, pursued on their behalf. Like, I just don't buy this shit, because she's made it very clear he should be criminal. It seems very clear he was holding custody rights and using things over her head to get what he wanted. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more revealed by Britney in time when she's able to, and all of that's going to go against a lot of this. But right now, he's just trying to who does this goose up? The judge? Like, who is this really being written to?
Yeah, I think it's just trying to rehabilitate his image. I just don't understand why he thinks anyone would change their opinion about him just by writing this. So it's really unnecessary for him to go through all this detail when some of it's just clearly untrue or no one's going to buy.
Right. And then the other question is this a PR play where they knew the media would just run with Jamie left? When the reality is now everyone's like, yep, all right, we moved on. Woo, we helped Britney. Jamie's gone. but they don't realize there's still nitty gritty that actually everyone rushed with and didn't actually hold back on. That could cause Britney some more stress, and it might not actually fix it. Could that have been a PR move?
We know it's a PR move. You look at the very top of the document, there's no little tiny writing on there. Little tiny writing on there would mean that it's filed with the court. And it says date, time that it's filed. This is not a filed document that we're seeing. It could have only come from his counsel. It was first reported by TMZ, who has been pretty much pro Jamie. So I'm pretty sure that it was leaked to TMZ and before filing.
Very good points.
Why is he sending? I mean, why is he sending it to TMZ before he's sending it to the court?
Exactly. And he's been so tight with them. Sorry, I need a shot, guys. If you're drinking with me, go ahead. Jamie's making me go nuts. All right, continuing this, we left at. All right, so there's no doubt that it saved her from disaster, supported it when it needed her. I'm zooming through now. At first, her first order of business, her new attorney filed a petition to remove Mr. Spears, but rather than taking the time to review the history of this, the history of this conservatorship in order to understand factually what has actually occurred, and rather than reaching out to counsel or making attempts to resolve matters cooperatively, Ms. Spears' new attorney filed this petition without adequate investigation and based on unstamped shit. So he's basically saying Britney's a liar. Whatever Britney's telling is not true.
He's also really attacking Rosengart. So he's saying, look, this new attorney is really taking the bad one is Rosengart. That's what Jamie's saying. Rosengart was just hired. He's super aggressive lawyer. We heard Jamie call him that earlier. He doesn't even have the file. He just on the job at 2 days, and he's already attacking Jamie. So he's trying to shift that over to say Britney's being taken advantage of by an aggressive lawyer. Don't blame me.
Thank you
I'm
for
being
supporting
attacked
Britney #jail for Jamie.
Oh my goodness! Sorry, we have to pause when the donators do that. Ann just donated $100.
Buy that for $1.
My goodness! I know you're all watching for this document. I got to support my supporters, Ann. That is so generous and amazing of you. I'm so grateful for you and supporting this coverage because that's what keeps us going. Your support means the world to me. I can't just ignore that like other channels do. Holy crap, Ann! I am speechless. Everyone, please throw some applause emojis, some Popcorn Planet emojis for Ann. She just sponsored this segment of the show. And you are amazing. Thank you so much for your generosity and your support on this channel and everything you do. It inspires me to go deeper, harder, longer. And I'm in your debt. That is so amazing. And thank you. I want to devote more time, but I know we got a lot of people who want to read this document, so I will be thanking you throughout the stream, and I'm so grateful. Also, Carissa, thank you, family of 6. No qualified immunity should be granted to the court-appointed staff, and most importantly, the judge. Policies and procedures were definitely not followed. Facts. That's not happening. Jamie can't ask for that, can he, Christopher?
Well, I think the comments about the court and the court's immunity, but Jamie doesn't have immunity. He can be held responsible for all the conduct that he's done. There is some limitations on suing a conservator because the court did appoint him and the court did approve many of the things that he did. But what information really did the court have when it approved those things, and what information did Sam Ingham have when it was approved, and was Sam Ingham even properly appointed? So there are things that are going to happen that hopefully a lot of that stuff will be unwound and Jamie would be held accountable.
Interesting. All right. So thank you, everybody. I know there's a couple more. I'll get there in a second, but I don't want to keep us waiting. I want to get through this. And I know Christopher he can't stay as long. We have a little bit more time, but I want to make sure we get his time here used wisely. So there's no factual grounds for suspending or removing Mr. Spears as the conservator under probate section. It's highly debatable whether changing conservator's time would even be in Ms. Spears' best interest. There's it's like, well, there's no proof, so what are you doing? And we just have the person who is crazy under this saying, I'm crazy. Shouldn't we be looking more into these accusations is the card he's trying to play here, correct?
Well, yeah, so this probate code section 2650 lists the grounds to remove a conservator. That could be like, misconduct, filing bankruptcy, incapacity. And so he's saying, well, I didn't do any of those things. But at the very bottom of 2650, it says, well, you can remove a conservator if it's in the best interest of the conservatee. And that's the one that Rosengart was pushing on, just saying it's clear that it's not in Britney's best interest. So there are grounds under 2650. Without a doubt, even though he's denying that.
Okay. This mandate for the court, as is Mr. Spears, is to act in the best interest of the conservatee. In order to do so, the court must have accurate and substantial facts, which it can rule. So again, this portion right here, he's just, again, sandbagging, trying to figure out ways. Well, there's no proof. There's no proof.
Well, there isn't proof yet. I mean, that's the thing is Rosengart hasn't been on the job that long, so we filed the application to have Jamie removed. And what Jamie's saying kind of correctly here is that, hey, where's the evidence? Well, that evidence doesn't need to be presented in these papers necessarily. It could be presented at an evidentiary hearing on September 29th. So Rosengart can call witnesses and put in documents, move them into evidence at that hearing. And I anticipate that's his plan because there's just not enough time for him to get up to speed, attach all that stuff to his initial paperwork.
Okay. And so moving forward because I want to make sure we get through some of this document with Christopher while he's here. The petition is flawed, relies on inaccurate declarations, including but not limited to declarations of Lynne Spears. So this is the portion now where he decides to throw Lynne Spears under the bus. Is that the safest headline here?
Yeah, because Lynne came out against Jamie in the application to have Jamie removed. So now he's attacking back. And again, it wasn't necessary for him to do this. It just shows that Jamie's more embroiled in this controversy, can't get along with anyone. But he goes on. I mean, the majority of this document is actually attacking Lynne.
Well, great. That I'm here for. Let's hear some of that because she's trying to play the good guy here, and I bet you there's a lot of guiltiness that Lynne's hoping he won't get through. All right, so a petition based on 3 sources: Miss Spears in court, Jody Montgomery, and Lynne Spears. However, all these sources contain inaccuracies, and so basically, Mr. Spears, Big Jamie, is using this PR document to basically attack them all and say they're all wrong. Is what he's doing here. This is all to save face. Lynne had little to any involvement in the conservatorship, let alone Miss Spears' life. For most of the 13 years that has been in place, the court cannot rely on the unsupported claims and speculation of someone whom Miss Spears has avoided speaking with most of her adult life. Despite this, Mr. Spears or other members of the team, professionals, often encouraged Miss Spears to speak with her mother with the hopes of repairing that relationship as Miss Spears obliged. I wonder, does he mention the time he abused his grandkids? Does he bring that part into it, Christopher?
Yeah, I didn't find that in there. And again, he's not seeing the inconsistencies. He's saying, hey, Lynne hasn't talked to Britney, so she's not qualified to say anything. Well, Jamie's not talking to Britney. He says in his own words for a long time, so that wouldn't make him qualified either. So they're not spotting the obvious inconsistencies in their own document.
Yeah, which is why did the lawyer let him do this? It almost feels like Jamie's out there demanding, I want defense on this. My name's getting in the mud. Both Jamie and Lynne seem to be doing that a lot. They want to seem like they're not the bad guy. And so it seems like now we're really starting to see them sort of eat at each other, right?
Yeah, they're definitely, like this particular document, I think is written for the press and the public more than for the court. But hey, it's going to be used against him. And it was just a dumb move in my view.
It doesn't help him at all. All right, so let's get some of this tea. Despite, so he's saying... Despite this, so the court must question Lynne's testimony based on how little involvement she has throughout the conservatorship and lack of direct knowledge in many of these issues. This includes Lynne's summation of the current state of the relationship between Miss Spears and her father and what may have caused that state to develop. I don't know why Jamie's opening this. Like, again, he abused his grandkids. Like, that was a huge moment that I think did shift things for Lynne and everybody and Britney. And a lot of things why she finally, I think, stood up against a lot of this and was like, enough. Because she lost custody. You guys got to remember, she lost custody when the head of her conservatorship couldn't be trusted with her kids. Like, that's a massive thing that I think was a huge... We don't want to talk about that too much because we don't want to talk about her kids. I don't want to talk about her kids, but it's an important moment to mention because Jamie, that's a fact. Like, there was a restraining order and things that he couldn't come near his own grandkids. And the fact that they have sort of allowed that, and it's not even coming up at all, and he's focused on Lynne, and Lynne's not around. Like, dude, you have no basis to talk. Lynne may not have been around, but she at least didn't abuse the grandkids, which is about the worst thing you can do. I mean, the hypocrisy here is making me go livid, Christopher, right?
Well, that's it. And where's the court in this? Why isn't the court saying... it's pretty hard, to get this domestic or domestic violence restraining order, stay away order, or at least it should be. And that requires evidence. And hey, he's got one against him. And then the court doesn't think next step like, hey, well, let's get Jamie out of that role. I mean, that's just what's mind-boggling to me.
Immediately, right.
There's no critical thought happening here by the court. They're just going along with and basically rubber stamping things. It's just absolutely amazing.
Okay, so Lynne misrepresents how Dr. Benson was chosen, his credentials, and how Miss Spears' treatment plan was developed. Lynne makes several false statements in her declaration regarding her medical care. So now Jamie is going in and starting to reveal medical information. Based on those false statements, Lynne draws several conclusions upon which Miss Spears' new attorney wrongfully relies on. First, he's getting into the specifics. Falsely testifies that Mr. Spears had absolute control over Miss Spears' healthcare decisions during what she describes as the time of crisis, and then makes unfounded assertions. But Mr. Spears did not choose Miss Spears' doctor. Miss Spears did. Sweet, was she involved in the conservatorship or was she not? I'm so confused. Who's the Miss Spears? Is this Lynne or Britney?
Yeah, I know. It was again just very poorly drafted legal document. When you got so many Spears here, just use their first name. I think we can get beyond the miss. But
who is he?
Yeah, I think what he's referring to is that I think he's saying that Britney had interviewed Dr. Benson and selected Benson. So that's the way I'm understanding Jamie's accusation.
So Miss Spears is Britney. Okay. He's saying that Britney chose a doctor and okay. Maybe I'm sure there's more to that story, but okay, whatever. Second, she mislabels him as a sports enhancement doctor. Dr. Benson is a Harvard-trained psychiatrist, double boarded in both psychiatry and addiction medicine, who served as clinical instructor, high-stress environments, blah, blah, blah. Dr. Benson is well-suited to treat Miss Spears. Unfortunately, it appears that Lynne has not accepted the full extent to which Britney has had addiction and mental health issues or the level of care or treatment she needs. Again, why is he saying this out loud, right? This is already the beginning of, that's exactly what a conservator shouldn't be doing.
Well, exactly, and he's not just saying it to the court. He leaked this document. So he might as well have just called TMZ and just given an on-the-record statement. It's completely outside of his role. It's a total breach of his duty to her. Because, again, you could put stuff in court documents, fine, Jamie, but you didn't do that. You gave – this is a TMZ document.
And then he's saying here, the minor children should not be discussed or referred to except in sealed documents. So he's trying to not have the abuse mentioned. He doesn't want to mention that he actually was abusing his minor children, her minor children, because that should be sealed and referred to, because I guess whatever terms they made. Oh my God, I hate this man. And this is helping him because he's defending himself. Jesus Christ. Lynne is not a licensed psychiatrist or addiction therapist, yet she alleges that the medication prescribed was entirely inappropriate. Miss Spears did not want to take the medicine, but the medicine was part of the carefully tailored treatment plan developed by Dr. Benson, Jody Montgomery, and other medical professionals. So wait, again, I thought he said he wasn't responsible for this period, but now he's defending what happened during this period. Christopher, can you enlighten me?
Yeah, and he's saying he has all this detailed knowledge. So if you didn't have anything to do with it, then you would just say, like, I had nothing to do with it. I don't know anything. But he's saying, no. I know everything. I know who was involved.
Christ.
And then he cites, well, Sam Ingham also approved the plan. Well, what the hell? I mean, look, I'm a lawyer. I don't approve medication plans for my clients. I
and he's
don't
even
know that
saying,
stuff.
well, Lynne couldn't. How could Lynne know if it's right? But now the lawyer knows it's right. Oh my God, he's all over the place. And what's most frustrating, guys, this is kind of hilarious. He's so out of it. He's basically saying, I wasn't involved. That's been his defense. And now he's saying, well, all this, then he's proving he was involved. Lynne falsely claims that Miss Spears was forced to enter and remain in the treatment facility. Again, all of this is so weird because he's admitting to things that he said he wasn't a part of, correct?
Well, that's right. And then he's also saying, well, Britney herself approved the treatment plan and entering the facility. Well, this is the person who allegedly lacks the ability to care for herself so much. So she's so gravely disabled or incapacitated, whatever they're claiming, that she needs a conservatorship. But then when it's convenient to him, he says, well, but she consented. Well, how can she? You can only consent to something if you have capacity. So which one is it?
Right.
So he's, as many things here, he's playing it against both sides. If she has the capacity to consent to medical treatment, then she should just make her own decisions. She doesn't need a conservator
Right.
over a person.
She agreed to be checked in. All these things are proving that she picked the doctors. I thought she wasn't able to make those decisions. He's only encouraging more of why were you all there in the first place? All of this going against, this is really actually a good, so in a way, this is a great document for them. Like,
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you have somebody who's untruthful, the best thing you can do in litigation is just have them talking.
Right. The more he talks, the more he unravels the web, as Lynne Spears posted recently, and why we were all making fun of her. The webs we weave. All right, so yeah, all this admitting, yeah, she was on lockdown, but she was free to go, but she checked herself in. All of this stuff proving she was clearly able to do it all herself. Miss Spears was aware that no one could force her to enter or stay in the facility, both of which were confirmed. Guys, she didn't even know she was going into conservatorship. Lynne signed on that too. Like, we have that proof. Like, they did everything they could to avoid, right, Christopher? Like, when you're put into a conservatorship, there's like a step where they have to like tell the person legally, yeah, you're going into conservatorship, and they voided that. They didn't do it.
They never gave her notice. February 1, 2008, when this started, there was no notice to Britney at all, and her rights were taken away from her by the court without notice, and that was a complete violation of her rights. There's just, I mean, it's appalling. That
Right.
should never have
Bill
happened.
Cosby just got out for something very similar, but because he confessed to something and then made a deal and got out. But it's like a similar thing. Where like that alone should be reason why the whole thing just gets shut down. You didn't even tell her.
Yeah, there's no way that Britney could have understood the deprivation of rights to consent to this, just like any of us could have understood that. So I really doubt that anything about this is voluntary, even though that they're claiming it is. So that there's so many issues here, and then also the implied threats. So we have a lot of people who will sign a contract and then try and get out of it later and saying, yeah, that's my signature, but I didn't do it voluntarily. So we'd have the same kind of defense here, where it's like maybe Britney said, okay, I'll go into the facility, but what threats or promises were made to her when she said okay? And I think there was some indication here that Britney that she would be punished if she didn't go along with it. So I think when we get all the facts, when we get Britney's story in full, we'll see that even if she said okay to things, it was because she was fearful of retribution if she said no, and therefore
Right.
It's not voluntary.
Correct. Holding up the custody of her kids. Do you want to see them? Do you want to get more time? Do you want this to go away? Just follow along. And Britney's proven to be sort of more passive like that. She doesn't like to have confrontation. She's talked about this. So all echoing it. All right. So she was aware she could leave. Yada yada yada. Miss Spears was at the facility. Even Miss Spears welcomed other visitors. They're saying, "Oh, you're fine. You could bring in guests to the place." Lynne wrongfully conflates Miss Spears' approval of the payment of expenses with complete knowledge and control of the underlying activities. What does this mean?
And I want to hit back on paragraph 16 a bit, where he's saying she was not on lockdown. She was free to go in and out of the facility. And then line 19, she visited her children at the facility. Well, who on earth wants their kids going into some mental hospital and seeing them there? Nobody would want that. And if it was true that she could leave, she would say, well, I don't want my kids coming into this place. I don't want my kids seeing me here. So she would say, hey, well, let me leave and let me check myself out, right? Because that's what it says on line 16. I'm going to check myself out. I'm going to go see my kids. I'll check myself back in. No, she had their kids at the facility. The only reason why she would see her kids at the facility is she was not free to leave.
See, that's why we have Christopher here, because he's finding that shit out that makes us even more mad. All right, so sorry, where were we? So were we here?
17. She could. No one could force her to stay. Yeah, I mean, we kind of covered the same
and then
stuff.
18 here.
Over and over.
Mr. Spears was approving the payment for all expenses. Jamie was. He automatically had knowledge of the entirely says circumstances. That is incorrect. So wait, he didn't know the expenses? Well, what the fuck? Isn't that his job? Even at that point, these restraints at time of crisis was not available due to personal health. Oh, because he had that health problem. So he's sort of blaming now. Oh, I wasn't there to foot the bill on this, even though that was my job. I was sick.
Yeah, there were some times where Wallet was doing it, so he's saying he's not responsible when Wallet was doing it.
Jesus Christ. Can you imagine a boss is like, hey, I was sick that day, so it's the guy who I put in my place. It's his fault. It's like the worst employee ever, worst boss ever. Just blame. So it wasn't me. I didn't do it. Nobody saw me do it. Number 17. Formerly has been completely cut out of having access to his medical information. Medications. Again, the medical information decision making had been in the hands of Jody Montgomery. I don't buy that. Why wouldn't he have gotten information like that? As the head of conservative...
What he's getting at in like paragraph 20 is basically saying that he cuts a check for $10,000 a month to Montgomery to cover medical expenses, and then Montgomery uses the $10,000 to pay the individual medical providers and medical bills. So Jamie's saying like, well, hey, I don't see these bills. I just write a check for 10 grand. And if she needs more, she'll tell me I need more. And then I just write a check for that. So I don't know anything about it. That is complete nonsense. I would imagine mechanically that's how the bills are done. But Jamie is the conservator of the estate, meaning he's in charge of the money. So is he really saying, hey, I just sent blindly $10,000 a month to Montgomery, trusting her that she would actually spend that on medical bills. And if she ever called me up needing additional, like she said, hey, I need another 50, fine, here's another 50 grand. Well, that would be irresponsible. He would have to go through and say, well, why didn't the $10,000 a month cover it? I need some backup. That's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to control the stuff. But no, he's saying, no, I just blindly sent the money without ever checking it to avoid being accountable for knowing this information that he's allegedly has.
Okay, interesting. Let's see here. So we have, as discussed next, there is another reason why Lynne's argument equating payment with complete knowledge is wrong. Mr. Spears had to step away from handling due to the medical matters. Again, this is the time of crisis he keeps referring to, which Lynne is well aware. This is like such a weird divorce statement, right? It's just two exes who hate each other, just like a pissing match is really what we're witnessing here. Yeah. And it's all while their daughter, it proves again, right? Like how scary this is for Britney, because her own parents are just having a pissing match while she's like fighting for her life. And they're like,
yeah, there's no reason that a relative needs to be involved in. I mean, there's enough money obviously in this estate. You could hire somebody who's competent, professional, honest, conflict-free. There's no reason why this guy should have ever been in this role.
So Lynne wrongfully claims that Mr. Spears asserted absolutely microscopic control. I mean, we have proof of that through the videos and the documentaries and stuff. Again, this is not true and shows an ignorance of the facts. An early blah, blah, blah. Mr. Spears went to the He's so hung up on the time period. Like he forgets he's been there since 2008. Like, right? Or
yeah.
2000. I don't understand why he's so hot. Well, in the past 2 years, I wasn't there. I was in a time of crisis. He like keeps using that as an excuse, right? Every time I've seen him do a document like this with his attorneys, every time he just focuses on those 2 years as if Lynne couldn't have been speaking about anything else, prior.
Yeah, he's fixated on undermining Lynne's credibility, but who cares? Even if Lynne is a liar and lied about everything she ever put in these court papers, we have a mountain of evidence outside of what Lynne's statement is.
Right.
So he's just, like you say, it's like fixated on an X and wanting to attack when it's not going to make any difference.
Okay, so because I know we have you for another 10 or 15 minutes or whatever it is, fast forward for me on the most important parts here, Christopher.
So the most important part is where he's saying that he's really not leaving. And
where is that?
That's where.
So this is all more Lynne, and I'll come back and read the Lynne T when he leaves, because this is more just fun to read and not really legally important, but just shows how much of a monster he is. But go ahead, Christopher. Where do I need to go for the legal stuff?
Here we go. So it's actually page 4, paragraph 8. So where he's saying in this is, look, I'm going to step down. Am
I in the right spot? Down. This is it?
So he's saying there's going to be a transition process where Jamie's going to leave,
right here, yep.
and new person, I guess Josh Rubin or whoever else is going to come in. Okay, fine. And he's saying that, but there's some pending issues, such as the 12th account and final account. And he says, when those matters are resolved, I will be in a position to step aside. Well, the 12th
Wouldn't
account
Judge
is the
Penny
one
actions
point.
fall under judicial punishment categories for CA? Could she get disbarred?
Good question, Brandy. I appreciate that. I'm going to get to it in a second. But Chris, go ahead. Sorry, Christopher, what were you saying? This is important, guys.
It's a very cryptic reference here, but what Jamie's saying is like, hey, I need to transition my role over to new guy, and there's some pending stuff, and one of the pending stuff is the 12th account and final account, and once that's done, I will then step aside, meaning I won't until it's done. Well, what's the 12th account? $1.2 million in attorney's fees to his attorney, which includes $541,000 in media matters. And if you look at who billed on that, because I have checked that bill out, it's a non-attorney crisis manager at Holland & Knight that's putting a bulk of this time on a legal bill. So that's really inappropriate. An attorney can only charge for attorney time or paralegal time. You can't charge for non-attorney time, but there's $541,000 in non-attorney time on there for a crisis manager, and the crisis manager was serving Jamie to rehabilitate his image, and they want that paid for. That is completely inappropriate. That in and of itself is a reason to remove him. It's a self-interested transaction, only benefits him and is actually adverse to Britney. And that's what he's talking about on the 12th account. And also the final account, all of the compensation that he thinks is due. This is the conditional surrender. He's saying, if you pay all of my attorney's fees, so I'm not out anything, and pay all this compensation that I want, then I'll leave. Again, putting terms of surrender on this are also a breach of fiduciary duty. You can't do that when you're in this trusted role. You have to only act in the interest of Britney. You cannot act in your own interest, but that's exactly what Jamie is doing. So this isn't a resignation. Rosengart will not accept that. And we're going to have a hearing on September 29th to get it done. Now, what do I think will happen?
Yeah, I was exactly what you read my mind.
we have a weak judge. And so sometimes judges will want to split the baby and make everybody happy. You know, it's just like giving out candy. It's like everybody gets a piece. So unfortunately, what might occur is the judge might say, okay, Mr. Spears, you're relieved. And, oh, yeah, let's approve these bills. And I hope Rosengart loses his mind and says, Judge, you better not do that, because these are been objected to. They need to be investigated. And whether his attorney gets paid has nothing to do with whether he should be removed. Those are two separate issues. We can have the 12th account done later. Let's get rid of Jamie now. I'm sure Rosengart's going to be all over that. And then the final little tweak on that is that there's a reference in some court papers that Jamie has a $47 million bond on him. And maybe that's the only good thing that the court did is insist on that. It's a huge insurance policy against malfeasance, meaning misconduct by Jamie in office as a conservator. I am hoping Rosengart says, do not exonerate or release that bond, because Britney needs that money, that pot of money, to go after the bond company for all the things that she claims that Jamie did to her, because who knows if Jamie has that money anymore. He may have spent it, hid it, given away. We don't know. But the bond company has it, and I would hate to be that bond company right now, because they could be writing a huge check.
Wow, that's fascinating, and that's important. So that's the most important part here, because this little part he's adding on is so awful. It's so awful because it's a little line, and that's why everyone ignored it, and sort of the headlines got what it is. But we, as we're going through some of the tea with Lynne, which also is distraction, this really is the most important part of the evening, because you guys got to understand, Britney and Rosengart have been so good about, you're paying the attorney's fees if you can keep going with this. In fact, they said it multiple times, and so they clearly heard him, right, Christopher? Like this is a clear, like, oh crap. All right, well, let's put this out there so to justify. Yep, well, I'll leave, but you're paying my attorney's fees, right? Is really what this comes down to.
They're going to stick him. They're going to stick him with a huge bill, and then hopefully Holland & Knight sues Jamie to get their money from him. Now, the other part of it is on page 10, paragraph 30. This is the other significant thing. So he goes on and on and on, attacks Lynne all over the place to make her look bad. He says, hey, by the way, Lynne has been profiting off of this too. She's feeding at the trough also. And for the last 13 years, the conservatorship has paid for what he calls the mansion in Louisiana where Lynne lives, including her utility bills, weekly maid service, and maintenance, $150,000 a year, $2 million. So Jamie thinks, wow, I'm going to make Lynne look so bad. Well, Jamie is a complete idiot for putting this in here because he's the one who approved it. Why? I mean, it's freaking mind-blowing. Why, Jamie, are you using Britney's money to pay for Lynne's maid?
Holy guys, do you realize what Christopher just said? Look at this. It appears Lynne is the one who's incapable of putting her daughter's interests ahead of her. Lynne has been not involved in her daughter's life, but despite this strange relationship, the conservator estate during the entire duration of the conservatorship, which Jamie was in control of and doling the money out, has paid and continues to pay for the mansion in Louisiana where she lives, including all of her utility bills, weekly maid, all maintenance, totaling up to $150,000, nearly $2 million total. I need to make a separate video on this because he literally just admitted to the corruption that Free Britney, all of us have been calling for so long. I'm surprised he didn't also say, yeah, Jamie Lynn too. Jamie Lynn's destined to part. Like he literally was just like, F all you guys, I'm out. You're all corrupt. But he paid for it all, right? I mean, how stupid do you get?
I have no, like I say, it's whoever wrote this thing really doesn't have a good handle on preparing legal documents. I'm sorry, because they think they're attacking Lynne, but he's actually making a damning admission against himself. There is no reason why Britney's money should be paying for Lynne's maid service and $2 million of living expenses. That is just asinine that he would do that. He would approve it, and even worse, that he would admit to it in this document where he's saying, I've done nothing wrong.
Why would his lawyers allow that to come in? Who didn't edit that to be like, well, wait a second, Jamie, you were in charge of that money. Why did you approve it? Is there any defense to that?
That's the problem. And if he comes in and he said, well, Britney wanted it. Britney wanted her mom. Well, earlier in the document, he says Britney doesn't like her mom, right? I mean, we read all that. You read all that stuff. Britney doesn't like her mom. Britney's not a good mom. Well, why would Britney then want her mom to get $2 million in living expenses? So again, another inconsistency. Somebody didn't read this document too well. I just, like I say, it's just mind-boggling, but hey, I'll take it. I love the admissions in here. This is so sloppy. It's going to come back to hurt him. I mean, we just need a judge now to look at, like we all seen this stuff. We all know this stuff. We need the judge. Please, please, please put your thinking cap on. Look at this. See what's going on. Stop being fooled by this and take some action.
Unreal. This part, I'm so glad you helped me get to fast forward this because this is so important, guys. This is probably the most damning thing he's admitted to. And you're right. Even if he admitted to, well, Britney picked it. I thought Britney didn't want her. I thought Britney hated her. Britney hates both of them. I think that's why she said her whole family should be in jail. She's made that very clear. We have new allegations about Brian recently, and Lynne putting drugs in to get her into rehab. Guys, it's so scummy what these people are, and karma is a bitch. It's Britney bitch. It's also karma bitch. I like to say that. Christopher, while we have you, what else here is worth? Do you want to point out while we have your legal expertise?
Well, I think that's the gist of it on here. I think what we're unfortunately going to see is a little bit more of Jamie. And now Matthew Rosengard had made a statement, I believe, to the press after this saying, hey, Jamie, just step aside. We don't need your whining and accusations and all this stuff. And he's also going to take his deposition. So what that means is a compelled statement under oath. You basically bring him into your office and cross-examine him with a court reporter there. And Rosengard's getting that statement from Jamie, whether he's the conservator or not. Sooner or later, he's going to do that. It's very easy to hide behind a lawyer. He's got, all these expensive lawyers, unfortunately not very good, but they're writing all this stuff, putting it out there. This isn't Jamie at the word process or somebody else is doing it. But when you get Jamie in the deposition, in the office, under oath, he can't hide anymore. It's in his own words. So he's going to be examined brutally, I would think, by Rosengard. And that's what the recent statement said.
Right, because he wants that deposition, which is awesome to get all this. Because again, like you said, you want the liar to talk as much as possible to keep creating inconsistencies to help the case. And guys, sadly, Christopher's got to go, and I appreciate his time. We're going to plug him again and everything, and we're going to keep going through this document because there's more tea to go through Lynne. So don't go anywhere. But I love this little part too. Lynne, it was Lynne, not Britney, who exploited their daughter's pain and trauma for Lynne's personal profit by publishing a book about their daughter. The book resulted in a lawsuit filed by Osama Sam Lutfi against Miss Spears and Lynne, and the conservatorship estate incurred significant legal fees to resolve it. So is he almost admitting that even Sam Lutfi is innocent? Like, it really does feel like he's just unleashing everything. Like, if anything, all of this is so damning for the Spears family and his control over it all, to be like, I thought you were all on the same team, and it's clear they never were. Jamie was an abuser, and Lynne was just a yes, whatever you say. And now those two people were never aligned, ever. They were never aligned. And so, of course, as Big Jamie gets pushed out and declared the monster, he's going to just call everybody out, including Lynne. Is that your prediction here, that this is going to be the biggest bus-throwing event in the next coming months and as we go?
I mean, it looks like a circus act. Everyone's pointing their fingers at each other, and it's sad. It's really, really sad that this is going on for so long, that Britney's had to pay for the circus act. So I think it's, like I say, it's unraveling very quickly before our eyes, and I'm hoping that the court's going to take some action. And Andy, thank you for all the support. I really, really appreciate it.
Dude, so grateful. There's one question though before before you go, I make sure I don't ask. Wouldn't Judge Penny's actions fail under the judicial punishment categories for California? Could she get disbarred? The follow-up question I see everybody ask. Sorry, I know I'm trying to get to all your questions. Could they replace her? How complicated would it be to replace the judge in this?
Yeah, it's very difficult to do anything with a judge. I mean, I don't see anything happening there, unfortunately. It's just the way it is. And so Rosengart can ask that the court disqualify itself based on bias or whatever, but that is a very, very difficult thing to do. So I doubt we're going to see Rosengart take that move, because it's very poisonous. If you take a shot at the judge, for disqualification, you better hit the mark there, because if not, you've just certainly made an enemy. So I really doubt that Rosengart's going to do that. He's going to try and work with what he has, which is Judge Penny. And we're going to give Judge Penny an opportunity on September 29th to do the right thing. And hopefully that happens. But an attorney like Rosengart is not going to try and disqualify the court, because he knows it's not going to work, and he's just going to make an enemy of the court, and he's going to allow the court now. And again, it's to Judge Penny's defense, if I can defend her, is that we had Sam Ingham involved this whole time, who was signing off on things. Essentially, we never had Britney represented by the quality or character of lawyer that we do now. So I'm hoping September 29th we're going to see something different, but that's all we can do.
Guys, go subscribe to Christopher's. The mods are putting it there. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's trying to build up a little channel there, and let's make it big. Let's go support him. We're going to have him back as often as he wants to. I love his insight in this. He brings so much intelligence and just calmness and reality, because a lot of YouTube channels and Britney fans were all just going to say, corrupt Judge Penny, corrupt, she's corrupt. But the reality is, guys, it doesn't help. Doesn't help. The reality is we can't just remove her, because if they try to remove her, as he said, that's not going to help the case. So as much as it's frustrating, as much as we want to scream those things, we got to be a little bit more nuanced. So I appreciate you, Christopher, always for being here and offering that perspective. Everybody, thank Christopher. Christopher, I love you. Thanks so much for being here. We'll have you back again. Give him a wave in the comments, guys. And again, please go support him. The mods are sharing the link. Christopher, we'll see you again soon, man.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you, sir. Always good to have him. Wonderful to have him. So amazing to have him. And I'm so amazing to have all you guys. All right, so don't go anywhere. I'm going to go through the rest of this. There's a lot more document to go through. We may even take some calls from you guys. And we do have some surprise guests in store, apparently, after they're done doing things, they're going to come in. I think Emily Baker is joining us at a certain point. So stay tuned. We got lots more to go through and lots more to talk about.